Welcome. Today I'm going to introduce you to our 50-gallon SCA Rimless planted cube. This tank has been super easy to set up for me because I actually let my employee Sebastian have full control of its setup. While I don't know all of the details of this aquarium, as I was in effect seeing it in stages of progress, I still bought everything in it and know it well enough to show you guys. It'd be nice to have more progress footage to show you of this tank over time, but better late than never. Let's get started. This aquarium is very simple. The Aquascape is dominated by a large piece of inverted wood and a forest of plants. The filtration and flow are from a return pump in the overflow box. The livestock includes about 8 fish and a ton of snails. A black box 165 watt LED lights the tank. Let's start out by addressing this Aquascape. Sebastian did an awesome job with the Aquascape on this tank. To achieve this, you have to start out with great ingredients and then spend time envisioning how they will work best in the aquarium. The piece of wood sat in more than a dozen configurations before we decided on this one. There is actually a smaller piece of wood glued onto the larger one near the front right, however, the root of it is hidden. Usually, I am not a fan of letting any parts of an aquascape touch the glass, but the wood is flexible enough that the glass is accessible with a scraper. The substrate used on this aquarium is 50 pounds of Caribsea Eco Complete. We chose this substrate because it's a great value. It provides a high quality growing medium while also being one of the cheaper substrates on the market. It also looks stunning and has stayed clean so far. Placed around the substrate are about a dozen magnolia leaves. You'll also notice them perched up in the wood and even out of the water. This was made to mimic what may happen in real life as leaves fall from trees. The tannins given off by the wood and leaves are controlled but welcome. The discolored water adds to the depth of the aquarium when appreciated from all sides, but especially the front. It makes it look as though the tank just keeps going forever. When it's getting too dark, we do water changes or add some carbon in. This tank holds Crypts, Sagittaria, Hygrophila, Anubias, Java moss, ferns, wild taro. It's been a blast seeing these plants grow up in the past few months. They were added mid-May and it's now late August, so you're seeing them about 80 days after addition. All of the plants were less than half of this size originally. While most of these plants were purchased from Live Aquaria, I think Sebastian also brought a few from his home tanks. This tank houses mixed guppies, angelfish, emerald cories, and plecostomus. All of these fish were purchased from Live Aquaria. The guppies' tails are super shiny and really stand out in the tannined water. The cories constantly scan the bottom of the tank searching for snacks. It's fun watching them check under the magnolia leaves. I rarely see the plecostomus in here because there's so many hiding spots. This tank was intended to be an angelfish dominated tank. While there's only one in there now, I do plan to add 1 to 2 more in the future. The flow in this tank is provided by a Kedsum 660 gallon per hour return pump. The return pump sits in the overflow box below a blue filter pad. The blue filter pad prevents leaves or other debris from getting in the return pump and is currently the only filter in the tank. The flow from the return gets teed off to the main outlet and a waterfall outlet. The waterfall outlet is on a valve, so the flow of water can be controlled. A piece of tubing emerges from the overflow box and is zip tied to the root of the piece of wood. One issue with this system is that the tank has to be topped off twice a week. As water evaporates, the overflow box's water level drops about ½ inch a day. As a side note, all of our tanks evaporate a lot more now that we have the humidity in here down to around 50%. It was hovering at 80% before we set up a large dehumidifier in this room. The topping off could easily be solved with an auto top-off system and a reservoir in the stand. The area in the stand is currently unused, and the bulkheads of the SCA tank were just capped on the bottom. Lighting this aquarium is a single 165-watt black box LED. We used this light because we had it already and decided to try it out before buying a new light. It actually fit the use case really well. Let me explain. For this sized tank, 24 by 24 by 20 inches, we wanted a light that could cover 2 feet by 2 feet well. We also knew from the outset that we wanted emergent growth, so the light would need to be mounted higher than normal. The high-powered LED's light output fits these requirements well, and is able to get good growing light down to the bottom of the tank. Now that the plants have grown in a ton, there is less light at the bottom, but it doesn't seem to be damaging anything. The LED is at 100% for the white spectrum and 20% the minimum for the blues. This tank gets fed NLS Naturox flakes daily. About 1 day a week we'll add ½ a cube of bloodworms. The worms get added slowly as the fish don't eat them quite quick enough. For plant growth, we add SCA Flourish once every few weeks after water changes. That's it. So simple and low maintenance. This tank is an awesome contrast to all the reef tanks in our warehouse, and I easily enjoy it just as much as them. I appreciate you coming on this tank tour with us. If you want to see more freshwater videos like this one, hit the thumbs up. Have a great one.